Hey guys, I'm back today, and today I am going to be talking about an interesting topic that's been on my mind. It's the topic of why some people have confidence, why some people tend to have really high self-esteem while others struggle with this. This is a topic that I'm merging in together with a lot of different stories and things that I have for you guys. It's kind of stemmed from that whole concept of dressing up daily, having grooming rituals year round, and how little things and little habits like that can make you stand out and help you develop self-confidence and self-esteem. And I've got some psychology in here, I've got some science, some evolution to back all this stuff up. So I'm just not randomly making this stuff up. There is plenty of professionals and people out there that promote this lifestyle, and I'm happy to see you guys joining me. I will be taking in lots of questions and comments and thoughts from you guys. Give this video a thumbs up if you're joining me. So let me start off by telling you guys a story. I actually did a video on this last year. That discussion kind of came to be. Let me open up my chat. I apologize. There's a evolutionary psychiatrist that sociologist. I always mix those two words together. Doug Lisle. And I found him through the documentary Forks Over Knives, and he was talking about food in there, but something about the way he was talking about evolution and using examples really stuck out to me. So I started Googling and YouTubing him and listening to his speeches and talks on YouTube, and I was blown away. You guys know Irfan and I are really into evolution and evolutionary science and psychology and stuff like that. So a lot of what he was saying I can really relate to and understand, and I'm fascinated with. So one video that I was watching, one thing I love about him is he's a very lovable guy, extremely funny, but he's very blunt, and he will say things that I think a lot of people are afraid of saying because they might be afraid of hurting people's feelings. But he had this one concept of how beauty is the most prized possession in the wild, and we're part of that, right, in the animal kingdom. And why is that, right? So beauty signals health, it signals youth, it signals the fact that you can reproduce and that you're healthy. And he was talking about the concept of practicing in private what you want to portray and present in public, and how that can really raise your self-esteem and your confidence. So I am really interested in that topic, and that's something that I am very passionate about. So one story that I want to share with you guys. Growing up, I have these cousins. They're older than me, so they're fully grown now. They have their own children. But growing up, when I was about 8 or 9 years old, they were teenagers, and they're twins, and they were constantly fighting about who was doing more in the kitchen. My aunt was very strict about them helping out at home and helping cook meals and clean the kitchen and keep the home very presentable. So these twin cousins of mine were always at it. Everybody in the family knew about them constantly fighting. One of my cousins always claimed that the other cousin, her twin sister, never did her share of the work. She never cooked, she never cleaned, she never did the dishes, and it was an ongoing battle for them. And my aunt had it. Like, she would be so upset with them that they would both get punished every time this concept came up or this argument came up. So one day we had gone to their home for lunch, and they were in the kitchen preparing lunch. And I guess I must have been hungry or whatever. I was standing at the kitchen door watching them prepare lunch. And I must have watched them for a good 5 minutes, not saying anything, simply observing my cousins cooking in the kitchen. And within those 5 minutes, I must have been 8 or 9 years old at the time. In observing them for 5 minutes, I figured out which cousin was lying and which cousin was telling the truth. And I was just blown away. I did not say anything at the time. I was young and stupid, and it wasn't my place, but I knew that one of my cousins was clearly telling the truth, that she did more in the kitchen, she did more of the housework, and the other cousin was lying. So years later, I remembered the story. I was an adult at this point, and I mentioned it to my mother. I mentioned, you remember how, I don't want to say their name, but, our cousins were always fighting about how one was always doing more and the other wasn't. And I told my mom how I had observed them in the kitchen once for 5 minutes, and I was able to figure out which one of them was lying. And I wondered if my aunt ever took the time to observe them, and she would also know that one of them was clearly lying. And my mom told me the answer, and she said it's because the one that really did do all of the housework and the other one that just pretended, when you watched her, she was very confident and very graceful because the kitchen and her home domain was her environment. Because she was so used to practicing in private when nobody was watching, she was the one cooking, cleaning, putting away the dishes, preparing all the meals and stuff, while the other one kind of slacked off and pretended to do these things. When you observed them, you knew which one was graceful and which one clearly was in her domain and knew how to do this. Now, I know this is an odd example to be sharing in a ritual, in a grooming video or the topic that we're talking about, but it really isn't. Think about this. Somebody who wears heels on a daily basis versus a girl that just wears heels for a special occasion, when they walk, won't you know in a minute like who wears heels and who's really comfortable and graceful with them versus somebody who's just putting them on like the first time in her life or just an occasional thing? Same thing with if you are not used to living in a clean environment. Let's say you are a slob, you're not a clean person, your house is a disaster, and you clean your home for when people visit. Your children and the way that you behave in that environment will be really different from how you behave in that environment on a daily basis. So people can pick up on those things because naturally, just how we have evolved, we have a very strong keen of nonverbal communication, right? We can read body language a lot better than we can actually even hear people. Sometimes it's like the inclusion of all of those things, right? What they're saying, what they're not saying, how they're moving, are they making eye contact, how they're behaving in that environment says a lot more. I can say this, I'll give you guys like millions of examples of this. I've had friends or family members pretend like they're not the type of people that gossip about people, but they really are, right? And so they will be behaving a certain way in a social situation, but the minute that they get a chance, they're back into their natural element of gossiping about somebody. But they will keep saying, I'm not one to gossip, or I don't like talking about people, but you know that they are, because they cannot keep themselves from doing that, because that is, you cannot pretend to be a certain way or pretend to be out of your element for a very long time, because it takes a lot of energy to pretend to be somebody you're not, right? So you can't do that. So why am I sharing all this? I'm sharing this to explain to you guys that whatever you want to be really good at, what you want to present yourself as, what you want to be known as, not just for other people, but even for yourself, the importance of practicing and living your truth and your lifestyle all the time, in private even when nobody's watching, because that's how people can tell if that is really you, how comfortable you are in that role, and how you easily move in that, how you communicate in that role. It's the reason why certain people will look awkward in certain clothing, because they're not used to wearing that clothing. It doesn't come naturally to them. So if they have to wear that clothing, they will feel out of place and awkward. There is this concept, you will only understand this if you are like Indian or Pakistani, but like you notice like certain girls who have certain girls, when they wear like Western clothing, will just stand out and make it their own, versus other people, you can clearly tell that they're not used to dressing that way, and it's like new and uncomfortable to them, because they don't typically do that when nobody's watching. They're just doing it to like wear outside or something. It's that same concept. So for example, if you're somebody that like stays in your sloppy clothes and your pajamas all the time, and you only get dressed up once or twice a week to go outside, like by dressed up I mean like putting actual clothes on, the way you behave and move in that clothing will tell your truth, will tell, like, you will feel uncomfortable and out of place, because that's not how you're used to dressing. Same thing with grooming. Why I say that, if you like, why chic women who stand out are the ones that have their rituals, whether it's grooming or whatever they do for their self-care. Since they do it year round, it becomes a part of their being. It becomes a part of who they are, It becomes their language, the way they move, the way they carry themselves, versus somebody who just gets like, I've seen this so many times. If you go on vacation at a resort and you see somebody who went out and clearly bought a certain type of clothes to wear on that trip, but they don't typically dress that way for whatever reason, you can spot those people, because that's not, and there's nothing wrong with that. But if you are trying to carry yourself in a certain way, or you're trying to become good at something, the best way to do that is to practice it all the time and let it become your truth and the way you live, the way you carry yourself. This could be said for anything. I teach this to my kids for public speaking. If you only do public speaking when you are forced to stand up and do a presentation by your teacher, it will be clear and evident by the way you speak and the way you stand and by the way you take command of the room that this is not natural to you, right? Versus somebody who practices this all the time. They do a lot of presentations, give speeches, maybe they make YouTube videos, or they just practice in private when nobody's watching. They will behave very differently in that situation than somebody who's new at it, who is just, doing it for the first or second time. So you can apply this concept to pretty much anything in your life. And the reason I teach my kids this is because I say it's not about trying to become somebody you're not. It's not about putting up a facade or trying to be somebody, right? It's about trying to be you and trying to be the best version of yourself in whatever you want to do. So my son, since my oldest son comes from a background of a learning disability and stuff, and he's like more than overcome that, it's very important to him to be a really great public speaker. So he does it all the time. He practices at home, he does it in front of us. He will raise his hand and always volunteer in class when they're doing presentations. In his science class, he does things outside of what is assigned, simply so he can present stuff that other kids, they're not required to do this. He will just insist that if he can have some time and present something. So doing things all the time in private and public is what helps you, like, creates that ownership over that thing, right? I have a wonderful story from, I don't know who takes credit of that, and that's why I never shared this, but I think he was a political leader of a third world country. I heard this story a long time ago and it really stuck with me. So they were taking pictures of him to use in a political campaign. And so he went to the photographer all dressed, and he used to dress really, really nice, to the nines, hat, everything, coat, dressed up. And he went over there and they took pictures of him. And as soon as they took pictures of him, he said, "Oh, no, we have to do these pictures over again." And he said, "Why?" The photographer said, "Why? They came out wonderful. Why do you want to retake these pictures?" And he said, "My shoelaces were untied." And the photographer said, "This is just a headshot, so it doesn't matter that your shoelaces were untied." And the man goes, "It matters. Of course it matters, because I knew that my shoelaces were untied, and that affected the way I carried myself, because I wasn't put together in a way that I'm used to, and it affected how I came out on camera." And I thought, wow, like that is somebody that knows the value of those little things, of those little details, and how they can really affect us from the inside out. That's why somebody who isn't really happy can't really pull it off for very long. Like, people can pick up on those cues. And the person that radiates joy from within, they don't have to tell people that are happy. They're happy from the way that they walk and the way that they talk and the way that they carry themselves. This is why it's so important to practice in private what you want to be like, what you want to achieve in life. You can really apply this to anything in your life. I've seen this with moms, like when you are in mommy groups and things like that. You can, like, the moms that are pretending to be nice to their children or pretending to act a certain way, but if they're really not like that, and I don't know if this is because I have a communication background and so I'm like kind of trained to look up for these things. I don't know if other people can pick up on this, but I can pick up on certain cues to see how that person really is with their children by the way that their children react to their what they're saying and what the mom is doing. And there was this one mother I met a couple years ago. I don't even remember her name. I didn't know her very well, but she had two little kids with her. And I met her through a friend of a friend situation in a mommy group. And the way that she was treating the children, I sensed something really odd about the situation, but I couldn't pinpoint it right away because I didn't get to watch her for a very long time. The next time I saw her, I noticed that she was being very abusive towards one of the children and very nice and sweet towards the other child. And to the point, I mean, she was so verbally abusive to the other child that I almost felt like really panicked, like I should be doing something, I should be saying something. And it was a really awkward situation for me because I didn't know the situation or anything. And so I struck up a conversation with her to kind of see, like, do I need to call somebody? Like, what's the situation? And it turned out that one of the little girl belonged to her, and the other boy she was babysitting. And the boy that she was babysitting, she was abusing that boy so much verbally that I almost wanted to like find out a way to contact that mother. So she like found out that that child was not being treated nicely or fairly. But you see like how it was just like that, my first gut instinct of picking up on, even though the first time I saw her, it wasn't like that obvious that there was something wrong. But because she was not used to behaving that way all the time, even though she was trying to act nice, because this is the first time that she was meeting a lot of new people, her non-verbal communication, the way she moved and the way she carried herself, gave her truth away. And I've seen this in so many, this is an extreme example, but I've seen this in so many situations where if you are not if you're not portraying yourself how you really are behind closed doors, it comes true, like it comes through, like in you, people can pick up on those nonverbal cues. So I want to know your thoughts on those things, and that's why I promote like dressing daily and carrying yourself daily. If that is what you want, if you want to present yourself in a way that's classy and chic and respectable, then that's how you should be doing it all the time, even with people behind closed doors. I can give you guys 101 examples of this. Have you ever met a couple, a married couple, that is talking to each other in a way that seems very pretentious or just like fake or weird? And then you find out later that they're having trouble or problems, or like you can tell that that's not how they normally talk to each other. All of these things are ingrained in us. We are naturally able to pick up on these things. And so you can apply this to pretty much anything in your life. The way you carry yourself, the way you look, the way that you behave, the way you speak should be all telling your full story in the way that's consistent. If something is odd or off, people can pick up on that fairly quickly. So let's see. Hi, Amrike. I'm so glad you're here. Oh, Samaya said she was already watching my video. Hi, Universal Journey. Let's see. Thank you. Milani said you look beautiful. Thank you so much. I want to get some comments about this actual topic, though. What do you guys think? Hi, Katie. Samaya, just Google 11-year-old books for kids, and there's, you're gonna have to see what your child likes. One advice I would give is that don't try to force certain books on your kids. The best way to get your kids to read is to let them read what they like to read. So let them pick out what's interesting for them. Samaya said, because of pain, I never care what I'm wearing on a daily basis, but from few days I'm dressing up, I'm feeling more confident. I'm so glad I found you. So Maya, this is so important and it's such a key point. I also used to be in pain all the time from my autoimmune disease, and it makes such a difference. Even though it took a lot of effort on some days for me to just like get out of bed and throw on a little bit of makeup, or even if it was just lip gloss and put on a cute top, even if I was wearing like pajama bottoms, even just the simple act of doing that uplifted my mood so much that I was more likely to do more things for, not only for myself, for my family. But on days, if you stay in your pajamas, your whole persona and your whole being is different. I've given this challenge to some family members too, that if they are the type of people that don't dress up or stay in their pajamas on the weekends or evenings or whatever, I have given them a challenge to do this for a week, and they have reported that they feel so different. Even if, I'm not saying wear a suit, I'm not saying wear something that's constricting, or you can't move, or wear something that you enjoy wearing, makes you feel a little bit glam, but it's still comfortable. This is a $7 top from Old Navy. It's not expensive. I don't care if I ruin it. I'm probably not going to ruin it. What are the chances of that happening? I throw on an apron when I'm in the kitchen. But, it just makes me feel cute. It's, to some people it may be pretty basic, but it's not about other people. It's like, it makes me feel cute. Even though I had no plans of leaving the house today, I have one little, my middle son stayed home from school. He's not feeling good. So, even if I wanted to go out, I can't. I've got a sick child at home. But it makes me feel glam to just dress up. It gives my day a purpose. Little things like that matter so much. You guys have no idea how people think it's just throwing up a front, or it's for other people. No, I don't care if anybody else sees me or not. It's for me. I do this for me because it makes me feel fabulous. It makes me feel like I can conquer the world. Even though pretty much my day today was watering the plants. I deep dusted my blinds today. I fixed my kids' lunch. That was literally my day today. But why not? I am worth dressing up daily. Hi, Ross. Let's see. Nita said this is inspirational. I'm glad. Let's see. Everything Tesla said, I judge people by the way they look. When people take care of their outside, which is easy, they probably take care of themselves on the inside. This is so true. And no matter how much we say that we try not to judge people, that it's not good to judge people, the truth is that we are naturally ingrained to judge people. And it's so much more than just clothing too. Back in the wild, in our earliest ancestors, they probably judged each other on a lot of different things to see if that other person was trustworthy, if they were somebody that they could invite into their circle, if that was somebody that was going to betray them, if that was somebody that could be a friend or an asset to them. We are naturally ingrained to do these. Think about it, a baby, a day or 2 year old baby, from the way that you hold them or smile at them or don't smile at them, they can pick up on certain cues from that. It's natural. It's like their survival. You know how if you ever hand over a newborn or a little baby to somebody who's never held the baby will start crying. It's naturally ingrained in us to judge people because our survival depended on this. And now it's evolved and changed, yes. But that it's the same reason why we're supposed to dress up a certain way for interviews. It's the same way why we're supposed to dress up in court to show respect for the court. It matters so much. I was at my sixth grader. There was an award ceremony at his school, and all the children that were there were getting awards. And my son had taken out a nice outfit the night before. He wanted me to press it for him, iron it for him. He wore some dress slacks and a polo shirt. Nothing outrageous, but he wanted everything ironed and pressed. And he really was. He said the principal of the school was going to present the awards, and he wanted to look presentable. And when I was there were parents there, people taking pictures. The school had a professional photographer. I could not believe some of the children how they were dressed. And I can't even blame the children, because really maybe they don't have anything else available, because it's about the parents, right? And I'm not saying the dress slacks that my son was wearing were $10. The polo shirt that he was wearing was $5. The shoes that he was wearing, you guys remember, $10. That's how much I spent on his entire outfit. It's not about the cost of it. It's about the fact of wanting to be dressed a certain way to receive this award. It's about having clothes that were steamed and ironed, and about carrying yourself a certain way. It's, and these are things that you learn from your parents. It has nothing to do with the fact, how much money you spent. I'm a bargain shopper. You guys know that. My top today is $7. That wasn't the retail price, but that's how much I paid for it. but I ironed it and I made sure that I combed my hair and put, it's the whole full presentation. And I was really impressed that my son wanted to dress nice for this award that he was receiving. He put on cologne that day and he wanted to present it. And there were some young ladies there with, they had their hair done and they had pretty dresses. And then there were other kids that wore, ripped up jeans, which by the way is against school code. I'm surprised that the principal did not call them out on that. And ripped up t-shirts and things, and that's what they did to show up for their award and get their pictures taken that day. So I just want my children to Tesla, you brought up such a good point. It really does. It's about your self-esteem, your presentation, what you feel about yourself, how you want to present yourself. It's so much more than just clothing, right? It's how you carry yourself. I love that. Milana said, I totally agree with what you said about public speaking. I used to feel so uncomfortable interviewing, but when I started practicing at home, I got a lot better at it. Yes, so a lot of people think that some people are just born to be public speakers and other people are not. And if you guys remember, I did a video on this, which I do have linked in my confidence playlist in the description box of this video. And the truth is, public speaking is not something that we were naturally born with at all. Nobody was born with this. If you think in the realm of history, all of the people that have been exceptional public speakers who have hacked this have become highly celebrated, right? Even if it was people like Hitler who used it for the wrong thing, think of US presidents, the one that were really articulate and able to carry themselves and speak publicly in a very professional manner that people were able to relate with. They were really celebrated presidents. Even if they weren't the best at presidency, they were really celebrated and admired people. If you look at all of history, you will find this. So this is something that if you can hack, if you can practice in practice in private and hack the system at public speaking, you will stand out because nobody is good at public speaking. Nobody is born good at it. Some people just learn to hack the system by practicing. Me and Joe say, I really enjoy your videos and have been inspired this last week to spruce up a bit. Thanks so much for these videos. I'm so glad to hear that. And it doesn't take much. It really doesn't. It doesn't take very much at all. Sometimes it's literally just like putting on a little bit of mascara, some lip gloss, and throwing on a nice top. It does. And when I say nice top, people will assume that I mean like expensive. No, I don't buy expensive clothes because I've got little kids. I've got toddlers grabbing at me all day long. But that does not mean that I'm going to stay frumpy either. Like I think that if I just throw on a cuter top like this, some people may think it's, it's pretty basic. To me it is too, but it's $7. It makes me feel like I've got a whole day to look forward to, even if I'm just doing house chores and hanging out with my kids. If I ruin it, no big deal. But let me tell you, I've actually never ruined my clothes from like stains or anything like that. Never. The only way I've ruined stuff is by throwing them in the dryer. So I never throw things in the dryer, but it rarely happens. Becky Liz said, I've watched many of your videos, but this is the first time I have seen you live. Thank you for your words of wisdom. Please keep them coming. Thank you so much, Becky. I'm so glad that you're here. I really enjoy doing these type of videos. Milana said, your $7 top looks great. See, and it has nothing to do with how much money you spend. In fact, I don't like the saying. I know a lot of people say that you should buy the best quality that you can afford. Well, to me, it doesn't make sense because I know there's like weird calculations that you should take your net worth or you should take your yearly salary and do a percentage. But, for those of you guys that have seen us on the Dave Ramsey show or seen our finance videos, does that mean that I should be spending thousands and thousands of dollars on clothing? No, that's ridiculous. I just buy things that I will feel fabulous in regardless of the price. Typically, I don't like to spend a lot of money on clothing because that way I can just wear it as long as my criteria is, will I wear this stuff all the time? Like, is it wearable on a daily basis? And if it's yes, it fits my style, that's done. It doesn't matter to me how much it cost. Rachel said, I think all that daily self-care makes such a huge difference. I have 5 kiddos, 5 and under. Wow. It's easy to let yourself go. Making that effort makes me feel so much better and in turn more patient. Rachel, this is such a good point because there's only so much that we can pour from an empty cup. You can try and you can maybe even succeed for a while. My mom was one of those people. For those of you guys that have followed my journey over the years, my mom was the kind of person that felt like she had to literally light herself on fire to keep other people warm. And by the age of 47, she had no routines, no self-care, no love for herself, love only for her family and friends and the world. And she was overweight, sleep deprived, like just all these issues. And she got diagnosed with cancer and she was gone after that. So you can't sustain that kind of lifestyle. And, she would have been in her 50s now, but she's not even here. So you have to fill up your cup. You have to do it for your children. A lot of people think that they're sacrificing themselves for their children, and that's being a good mother or a good community person or a good Christian or whatever your religious background is or whatever you're trying to do. But actually, trying to be good at any of those things starts with being good to yourself, because you can't really give. They say charity begins in the home. It begins with yourself. It really does. Let's see. Melinda said, I am not glamorous, but I try to get dressed and fix my hair every morning because it really does make me feel better. Absolutely. And what does glamorous even mean? I mean, my glamorous could be somebody else's frumpy. I don't know. I mean, these days, glamorous is defined by reality TV shows like over the top dressing. That to me is too much. So you define your own glamour and you define what makes you feel glamorous. Glamorous, chic, all of these things to me are a feeling. So to me, if I feel glamorous, I am glamorous, even if somebody else doesn't think so. If I feel chic, I am chic, because that's how I'm carrying myself. That's how I feel. That's how I want to embody myself. So if you feel it, you will be it. So you define that for yourself, girl. I don't know what the rules are. I mean, the rules obviously in Europe will be very different than they are in the US. Everything is over the top in the US. We're used to reality TV show starlets defining glamour, and that to me is over the top. So you have to find your middle ground. And at the end of the day, whatever makes you feel fabulous, that's fabulous. That's glamorous. Rochella said, my husband can also see the difference when I'm practicing regular self-care. This is so true. I will notice that on days that I'm frazzled or like feeling overwhelmed, or I didn't get a chance to like sit down and do anything for myself, when my husband walks in, even if I try to fake it by smiling and greeting him and stuff, I can tell that the way he moves and behaves that he knows something is off. And when I'm happy and smiling really from within and I'm content, my family is happier, my husband's happier. My 12-year-old made the statement about this last month. I was talking about how I'm going to cut back on the number of YouTube videos I did because I was feeling like I was doing too much. It was overwhelming me. And Armand, my 12-year-old, he said, you know what, Mom, you should definitely do that then, because when you're not having fun, we're not having fun. And I was just taken aback by that comment for a minute. I had to like sit back and let that sink in. But it's so important. The mother, the woman is really the heart and soul of the family. You set the mood. You set the standard of how everybody else is feeling. So you have to take that time to do that for your family. Self-care is actually love for your family and love for your loved ones. Me and Joe said, your advice on personal non-negotiables and self-care was a real paradigm shift. You need a certain amount of sleep. It's like this has given me permission to do the same. It's an aha moment. I totally understand this. I know what you mean about that whole permission concept too. I talk about these things. I live these things. I have been doing these for years. But even myself, I find that sometimes I will randomly call up my sister or a girlfriend and be saying certain things, and they will pick up on it, and they're like, yeah, Mina, you have permission to do this. It's okay. You need this time. And I find that funny because it's almost like I knew that I needed to do this. I knew that it would make me feel better, but for some reason I needed my girlfriend or my sister to give me the permission. I think as women, we look to each other for that inspiration, and we need it from each other. So that's why instead of looking at it as a selfish thing or something like you're being selfish by taking time for self-care, think of it as inspiring those around you. I've shared the story many times on how my sister made the comment, and a couple of my girlfriends have done this too, and how they've said, every time we come see you for lunch or coffee, we feel like we have to dress up extra. And at first I was like, wait, should I be offended? Is that good or bad? Like, I wasn't sure how to receive that comment. But when I really thought about it, I thought it was a compliment, because if nothing else, if I'm inspiring people to take a little bit extra time to get dressed that day, or put on a little bit of extra makeup, or whatever it is. Some people I have girlfriends that look glamorous without a stitch of makeup. So some people, it's different things for different people. It's not that you have to wear makeup. But I thought that eventually, when it sunk in and I really thought about it, I think that's a compliment. If you are the type of woman that inspires other women in your life, moms, sisters, aunts, girlfriends, neighbors, to dress up a little bit and take care of themselves, or work out, or eat a little healthier, why not? That's a way of giving back to your community. Vishu said, I even dress up for a short drive to the library. That is me, because I'm already dressed up for the day. That is so me. I remember one day, this is a long time ago, still when we were living, I was living with my parents. We had a mailbox right outside of our home, right? And right when I got up out of bed, I just came out, I was in my PJs, right out of my bedroom, my dad was like, go grab the mail. And my sister started cracking up and laughing, and she's like, sit down, Mina, I'll go get it. And my dad looked at us weird, and then my sister was like, she's not gonna step outside the house in her pajamas. And she knows me so well. So my sister ran out and got the mail, because there was no way, even though it was 10 feet away from the door, but I just can't. I'm not that person. I have to be and I'm not saying that I get all dolled up and glammed up, but this to me is good enough. But it makes me feel fabulous. So it's all about how you feel, and how you want to present yourself. Everything Tesla said, I think it's good to judge people. Why wouldn't it be? Don't you want to know who you're friends with, who to do business with? I think that's so true. That not only do we judge people, it's ingrained in us. There's an evolutionary advantage to it. But I think in society, we have this sort of thing that I shouldn't be judged by how I'm dressed, or nobody should care. Even I've heard spouses say, so if I've gained 100 pounds, after I got married, he should still love me. And yeah, he should, but that's a lot to ask of somebody, because I think physical attraction especially, is something we can't always control. And as your marital vows, you married somebody, as your commitment to them, part of that commitment should be to take care of yourself the best of your ability, to make sure that you are healthy, you're happy, you're taken care of. Somebody woke up from their nap with crazy hair. So hi, say hi. So I absolutely think that it is your right as a wife, as a mother, as a friend, as a neighbor, to take the best care of yourself possible. Melinda said, I'm so glad you are addressing this, because as a society as a whole has become very lazy in how we look. This is so true. I see people in pajamas and all kinds of pajamas is probably the number one thing that really surprises me. On some level, I've even accepted the whole yoga wear, or outer workout clothes, because when I look at people outside in workout clothes, my thought is maybe they're just going to the gym or just came from the gym. So on some level, I can even understand that. But pajamas, I can't understand in public. That one is a weird one. I don't know what excuse you have. You were just taking a nap and you just happen to be outside. That one I can't relate to at all. Milana said, I think dressing up could be a cultural thing too. I'm from Europe, where women dress up a lot more than in the US. You know what, Milana, I think US is probably the first leading one to not dress up at most of the time, I feel because even in Asian countries, or countries that I've visited all over the world, people generally dress a lot better than us in the US. I'm not sure what it is, but maybe it is a cultural thing. I think it's the worst over here. Afreen said, then how do you dry your clothes? I hang dry my clothes. My pajamas and things like that, I throw in the dryer, but my undergarments, like my bras and lingerie and my tops, I hang dry them. Everything Tesla said, brand names do not always have better quality. My Gucci shoes wore off faster than my $30 shoes. Everything Tesla, I can agree to that. I actually have had quite a few designer items. Some I still have, some I don't have, and I have things that I paid $10 to $20 for that have lasted me 8 or 9 years. And then I've had Louis Vuitton bags that, you know, the handle broke right away, or even my YSL tribute sandals, which I love and adore and love them, wear them all the time. The insole completely came off, and I know I can send them off and have them repaired, but they wore off after about 5 wears. So that's shocking. I've got $30 shoes that I've had for 5 or 6 years that are completely intact. So quality is not, we've done a whole video on this, Irfan and I. It's nice to have a few, you know, nicer high-end items if you can afford them. Nice to splurge sometimes, but they are not always higher quality. And I'll be the first one to admit this, because I've owned both. And I've had things that I paid like nothing for that lasted years and years and years. Natalie said, hi Mina and ladies, I am so happy to be catching a live chat. It has been forever. I totally agree about dressing up even for day-to-day activities. I learned this from you and it completely changes my mood. I am 8 months pregnant, and today all I have done is chase my toddler and make a quick trip to the store, but I have on a cute top and some nice sandals and I feel fabulous. I love that. I love hearing that. And you know, my 12-year-old was saying this too, that when he wakes up on days where he's wearing like his, you know, favorite t-shirt and he put on a little cologne and it just sets the mood right for the day. And he says that adventure finds him, even if he wasn't planning on doing something exciting that day. This is a 12-year-old and he's a boy. He says that things will happen. Like, it's almost like you attract good things. My daughter and I sit outside on our front porch almost daily. I'll have a cup of tea, or we'll just blow bubbles and stuff. And my neighbors are either walking their dogs or just walking in general. And I noticed that, you know, that the ones that are kind of like dressed up, not like in suits or anything, but just wearing presentable clothing, they will see me, wave, come, say hi, talk, be social. And the ones that just got out of the house really quickly, let's say in pajamas or whatever, because they were just walking their dog quickly, they're just very quick and hurried, and they won't even wave, they won't make eye contact, which shows me that how you dress and how you carry yourself affects how social you are, and affects how friendly you are, how neighborly you are. And we live in a very like close-knit, gated community where everybody knows each other, we talk to each other. And so when you have 1 or 2 of those people, like, they stand out, you notice them. So it to me too, and not to blame other people, I've noticed, like, if one of my neighbors drops by, even to give us a mail that they ended up with, and I'm not dressed for the day yet, you know, I'm very quick to just grab the mail, thank you, bye, and close the door. Versus, you know, if they drop by and I've already dressed up for the day, I'll be able to invite them in for coffee, or, you know, we'll have a 30-minute chat, just, you know, hanging out. It's very different. So again, this is not for other people. I do it for myself. I have the kind of husband too that I don't think he would even care if I was like frumpy all day and stuff. Like, I don't think it would matter to him. But even like people like that don't necessarily notice those kind of things, because he always comments on little things like that. So I think even people that you think aren't always noticing those little things, they do notice. My library, like, every time I go to the library to drop off books, my librarian always mentions like, oh, you look, you know, nice today, and you're always so dressed up and things like that, even though I'm literally wearing a $7 top from Old Navy, and today I have on my $8 Forever 21 pants. I'm sorry, they were $10, but I've had them for 8 years. So my whole outfit is under $20, but it makes me feel good. That's all it takes, is that you feel good, and you define what's fabulous to you, what's dressed up to you. I've had people make comments on my YouTube videos saying, oh, you're not fabulous, or you're not glamorous, or you never have lipstick on, so you're not glamorous. That is their definition of glamorous. This is my definition. If I feel glamorous, if I feel fabulous, that's all I need, because then I will be carrying myself on a different note, on a different, I don't know, frequency, whatever you want to say. Uh, Bailey said, "Hi, beautiful, great topic, and I agree about defining our own sense of glamour. For me, that's usually just a minimum of cute, strappy sandals and lip gloss, but that's just enough to set the tone for me, that I'm presentable to anyone I might interact with that day." And that's all it takes. That's it. I think some people think, I was actually having this conversation with one of my friends recently. She is usually just in like, you know, those workout shorts, the loose ones, workout shorts, t-shirt with stains and stuff on it. She's got, you know, kids. Her kids, all three of her kids do go to school, so she has the whole day to like do something for herself. But that's her, and she loves makeup and loves getting dressed, but she thinks that she doesn't have time for it, even though she's home all day. Her kids are at school, and we were having this conversation, and she was saying how the couple times in the year that she does dress up, that she feels fabulous, she feels amazing. Her husband is happy that she dresses up. She's like more social. So I asked her why she doesn't do it more often, and I knew the answer. Actually, I wanted her to figure it out. So her thing is, and she's probably going to watch this, and we were discussing it, so I'm sure it's okay to discuss this, but so when she dresses up, she goes all like Kardashian with the makeup. When she does it, it's all like smoky eye, like, you know, what's that called? Contouring, and like all like glammed up, big crazy hair, gorgeous outfit, head to toe glamour, right? But because she set her standard of glamour so high that it takes her an hour or two to do all that together, put it together, that she can't do it on a daily basis. But so she just stays like, it's like all or nothing. So I was saying, what if you just got dressed up to kind of like how I do it, where it's like 5-minute makeup, a semi-cute top, you know, nothing like over the top, but nothing like a stained t-shirt either. Like, what if it was somewhere in between? And so that was a new concept to her. Like, it did not occur to her that there could be like a middle ground, where if you didn't own any stained t-shirts, you couldn't grab for them. If you didn't own any frumpy shorts, you couldn't grab for them. So I was like, if you just got rid of all of that stuff, only had about 20 to 30 items that all looked semi-nice, right? I'm not talking Kardashian level, but how about just like normal glam? So I think a lot of people don't realize that it doesn't have to be all or nothing. There is like a middle ground for us average people, right? Let's see. Everything Tesla said, "I live in Silicon Valley and people here are mainly slobs, including women." So I have family in Silicon Valley and we go there quite often. So I think, especially like, are you talking about like the whole techie culture? I think that like entrepreneur techie culture has become more and more and more casual, even especially with like Google and big companies like allowing very casual wear to work and allowing you to take naps and all that sort of thing. So maybe that has something to do with it. I would think that California as a whole would be very like almost too glam, but I think that may be more Southern California. So that's interesting that you noticed that. I thought it was more like the techie. So California feels like that all or nothing kind of thing too, right? It's all either like you're really glammed up, meaning like plastic surgery and everything, or it's like nothing. So there's no like medium. What about the rest of us? Like, how about like average people like us, somewhere like in the middle? Katie said, "I do agree that it's regional in the US. I'm in Connecticut and people for sure dress up here." Oh, that's really good to know. That's awesome. Milana said, "Yes, I totally agree. Women in India look more dressed up than here as well." Yes, Milana, and when you were saying that, I didn't want to bring that up. Yes, but in India, even people that are, they're not well off, like a lot of the people in India are not well off. They still there's women that do housework in saris there, and I think like some of the traditional clothing just looks a lot more presentable too overall. And I think the key to that is not buying expensive things, but like taking proper care of the things that you do have. So if you have holes or stains and stuff, that stuff you need to toss away. And I say the same thing to my kids. If you don't have frumpy or stained or ripped or whatever clothes, you're not going to wear them. So why keep those things? So one of the things I do as the school year is ending now, we go through all of their clothing at this time and remove everything that has not made it, right? It's worn out, there's holes, stains, kind of like snuck in by that I didn't notice before. We just, like, that's it, it's done, you got your money's worth, we get rid of it. Because if you have it, you will wear it even if it's at home. But if you don't have it, like you only have like things that are decent, that's what you will wear. So it's kind of the same concept in food, right? If you don't have junk food at home, you won't eat junk food. Laverne said, I'm always overdressed for some reason, LOL. I think it can be cultural too. My mother was always dressed up too, even for PTA meetings. Love it. You know, this is such an interesting point. So even though I just admitted to you guys that my entire outfit cost less than $20, my pants are 20 years old. They don't look at, if they did, I would have, or 8 years old, I would have tossed them. But I feel overdressed too in a lot of situations, especially at my kids' school. And the reason for this is because even though I'm not dressed very expensive, I don't have a whole lot of makeup on. It's my 5-minute makeup. But by comparison, it feels like a lot, because I think as women, we have come to believe and accept that if you are a good mother means that you are going to be a little bit sloppy, you haven't had time to wash your face, comb your hair, or dress up. And we have come to believe that's the standard. So much so that a lot of times women like me that do take a little bit care for ourselves are made to believe that we are selfish or not good moms. I've had people make comments like this. I've shared some of those in my other videos on how they think that, you know, they assume that I must not be a good mom, or they're surprised to see my kids and say, oh, your kids are so well behaved, or your kids are so good. And they, you know, implying things that because I dress a certain way or I carry myself a certain way, that they thought that my house, my kids may be a mess, or that I may not know how to cook. I've shared that story in my grooming video, and how a woman at a party made a comment to me that she did not think I knew how to cook because of the way that I dressed. And I was thinking, am I supposed to be wearing a chef's hat or an apron everywhere I go to prove that I can cook? It should be the opposite way around, right? People who are generally well put together in one area probably carry that, not always, but probably carry that into other areas of their life, right? Because I hold myself to a certain standard, I take time for myself, I have taught these values to my children. So my children are going to represent that. They're going to speak in a certain way, they're going to carry themselves in a certain way. I mean, they're still kids, they're learning, they're going to make mistakes, but they learn more by watching us than what we tell them to do. This is like the key thing. What you want your kids to learn, do it. Be the teacher, live your life. Visha said, please make videos on kids' summer break activities. So that will be a live chat tomorrow. I've actually done a whole playlist of videos on this topic, a ton of them. It's in my parenting playlist, so check it out. But I will be doing this year's version of that video tomorrow. So definitely I'm looking forward to that. Freen said, where do you buy your kids' clothes? So I buy them at various stores. The Children's Place, Gap, Old Navy, Macy's, Gymboree, and I am a bargain shopper, so I use coupons and coupon codes, free shipping, cashback sites. I don't pay a lot of money for my kids' clothing. But sometimes you don't need to because they grow out of them so quickly. So they're not expensive, but I always want to make sure that they're presentable. There's no holes, there's no stains. Anything that gets a stain or a rip, I will either try to fix it, or then it's gone, because I don't want them to wear that unless something gets unnoticed. I went through my oldest son's closet last week, and there were a ton of pajamas in there that were ripped, and I hadn't noticed them. So out they went, because I told him that, I discussed it with him that anytime something's ripped or torn, even if you think you're wearing it at home, I don't want you to wear that. I want you to get rid of it, and we will replace it. I rather have, he's more of a minimalist than I am anyways, but I rather have less clothes, but clothes that present well. So that, if you want to check out the other homeschooling videos and stuff, last year's videos are in that playlist, and this year's will be coming tomorrow. So guys, thank you for so much for hanging out. I really enjoy this topic, and let me know in the comments if you're watching this in the replay what your thoughts are. And again, this isn't about name brand, it isn't about expensive, it's just about carrying yourself a certain way. Afreen, I actually already have tons of videos on this topic, so you can search for that on a capsule wardrobe for kids. All three of my kids have a capsule wardrobe, and that means they have less number of items, but everything matches easily with everything else, so they can create a ton of different outfits from those less number of items. And the reason I did this was because of my kids. They said that they were feeling really overwhelmed because of the number of clothing items that they had. Well, my oldest son brought this to my attention. So now I do capsule wardrobes for them. When I build their capsule wardrobe for the school year that's coming up now, in August, I will be sharing all of that again with you guys. So hopefully you guys can follow along this time. Love you guys so much. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Thank you so much, Tanny, Leanne. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye.